Breaking today, the implosion of the Sussexes. Meghan Markle's Archewell charity scam and as ever lies have finally been exposed. An astonishing double blow.
I'm firstly grateful to them because they pushed the book up to #1 on Amazon. And secondly, I'm not surprised. I mean, for them, any criticism is always poisonous and damaging, and particularly from me. But I can assure you it's very well sourced. And it's true. I mean, that's the point. It is actually, unfortunately, true at the time.
We didn't plan for everything selling out in under an hour. And so watching those metrics happen in real time, it's already sold out. Because I'm business minded, I'm immediately going, okay, well.
How good, how embarrassing.
A website glitch? That's what cracked the whole thing open. Someone at Netflix forgot to lock a product page. And for 47 minutes in February 2026, the entire as ever inventory sat exposed on a public URL. 220,000 jars of jam, 90,000 candles, 80,000 tins of flour sprinkles, 70,000 bottles of rosé, $10 million in unsold product, sitting in Netflix offices across Los Angeles with employees told to just take it home.
And I love that quote, that quote from a Netflix insider. Their offices were covered in as ever products. And they said, Netflix insider goes, there was just so much jam, everywhere jam, that they couldn't sell. It's pathetic, it really is.
That number, 10 million, is where this story starts. Not because it's embarrassing, because it's the final line in a financial collapse that stretches back 6 years, across 3 major deals, 2 charities, and 1 very specific warning that someone inside the palace gave before the wedding even happened.
He, on the other hand, couldn't find an English woman who wanted to live with him. I mean, they all fled because of his depressions and paranoia. And here is a woman, Meghan, who was his safety net and provided what he thought would be the mollycoddling and the love and security he was desperately looking for. And so it seemed at the beginning. But of course, since then, we've seen how she has completely exploited her position and become a global star at the expense of the royal families of Britain.
Tom Bower's new book, Betrayal, doesn't just describe the mess. It puts a price tag on every failure, and the numbers are worse than anyone outside the Sussex camp expected. Here's what makes this different from every other royal book. Bower names the sources. He cites the documents. He walked into the Invictus Games himself and counted the empty seats. And when the Sussex team called his book a deranged conspiracy, they made it the #1 bestseller on Amazon before it even shipped.
Sussexes only will talk to people who repeat their own narrative.
Yes.
And who they can control. So the idea that you could get the truth from the Sussexes is contradiction.
And before we go any further, everything I'm about to walk you through is sourced. Tax filings, corporate registrations, verified trade reporting from Variety, Newsweek, and The Hollywood Reporter. The analysis is mine. The facts are on the public record, and those facts tell a story the Sussex PR machine has been fighting to keep quiet for 3 years. But here's the part that should bother you most. The financial collapse isn't random. It follows a pattern. And that pattern was predicted, by name, by someone standing inside Buckingham Palace, before Meghan even walked down the aisle.
She decided she didn't want to be a real princess because to be a real princess involves duty and responsibility, caring about other people. And so she just wanted to be a pretend princess in Hollywood. So she split her husband off from his royal family and then inked a $1 zillion deal with a bunch of media companies, and then all her projects flopped.
Catastrophically bad things are going for Harry and Meghan. Archewell is essentially done. Any aspect of their charity has essentially collapsed completely, and it's been revealed for what it really always was, which is a publicity stunt.
Pull up the Archewell Foundation's 2024 tax return, the Form 990 filed with the IRS on November 15th, 2024, and one number jumps off the page. Total revenue, $2,142,653. Total expenses, $5,105,228. A deficit of nearly $3 million in a single year. That's bad.
Obviously, they were expecting a lot more money to come in, and it hasn't. In fact, I think a whole bunch of money is flowing out, and very little is flowing back into Harry and Meghan.
This is worse. $2 million of that $2.1 million in donations came from a single unnamed donor, one person. The entire fundraising operation, the galas, the outreach, the branding, brought in roughly $142,000 from everybody else combined. The foundation's donor base didn't shrink, it evaporated.
They were completely and utterly willing to throw aside the people they were supposed to help. And now we have this situation where it's just artifice. It's just there for show.
Charity Watch, the independent watchdog, requested the Sussexes' financial audits 3 separate times between January 2024 and January 2026. 3 times. No response. Charity Watch assigned Archewell a question mark rating, not a bad grade, a refusal to grade because they couldn't verify where the money went. California's Attorney General noticed too. The foundation's state registration expired in May 2025. Before that, in May 2024, the AG issued a formal delinquency notice temporarily banning Archewell from raising money in the state of California. The couple's own home state told their charity to stop asking for donations.
Meghan praises herself constantly for being this great humanitarian, but when you really think about it, what has she done? I mean, even before she married Harry, she was part of World Vision, but dropped them as soon as she got engaged. And so it's like, if you really cared about the organization in the first place, why not continue working with them? But no, she just threw them to the side as soon as she could.
Now look at the expense side. Over 47% of program spending sits under a single line item called Other, described only as outside program consultants. 5 separate contractors each received 6-figure payments for something called programmatic strategic support. That's consultant speak for, we can't tell you what this money bought. Meanwhile, Executive Director James Holt's salary climbed from under $60,000 in 2021 to $245,000 in 2024, a 280% raise, inside a charity running a $3 million deficit. And that would be bad enough on its own, except this isn't where the financial bleeding started. It's where it accelerated, because the real damage happened at Netflix, and the numbers make Archewell look like a rounding error.
She's claiming she sold $36 million worth of jam alone. If she had done, Kinsey, let me tell you, Netflix would still be with her. They would still be backing her to the hilt if she was making that kind of money.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing. And that's just by Netflix.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Everything she touches turns to shit. And I think every sort of creative person behind her or deep pocket behind her knows it's an extraordinary risk. She's too toxic to touch.
Everyone remembers the headline. Harry and Meghan sign $100 million Netflix deal. It sounded like a mic drop. A royal couple leaving the palace and landing the biggest content deal in streaming history. Proof that the brand could survive without the crown, except it wasn't $100 million. Variety reported, citing 2 direct sources inside the negotiation, that the actual figure was closer to $60 million. And a portion of that money paid Archewell Productions staff salaries, not Harry and Meghan directly. The headline was the brand. The reality was a corporate overhead agreement. In 6 years under that deal, the Sussexes produced 0 scripted shows. None.
I don't think anybody at Netflix could have seen the show before it went out, because it's not entertainment. It's not edifying in any way. It's really, really bizarre.
The animated series Pearl was canceled. 2 film adaptations, Meet Me at the Lake and The Wedding Date, remain in permanent development. The content that did ship tells its own story. The Harry and Meghan docuseries performed well. Everything else cratered. The Polo series ranked 3,436th on Netflix's most watched list. It reached 500,000 households in a platform serving 280 million subscribers. With Love, Meghan landed at 1,124th, pulling roughly 2 million views. The exclusive deal expired in September 2025. Netflix replaced it with a first look arrangement, the same downgrade they handed the Obamas.
What's the title of her show? Love Meghan. For what? To watch? Who wants to watch Meghan Markle bake a pie?
Then came As Ever. Netflix expanded into Meghan's lifestyle brand in August 2025. 7 months later, March 6th, 2026, they walked away entirely. Here's where I need you to hold 2 numbers in your head. $60 million in, 0 scripted shows out. Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos unfollowed Meghan's Instagram and the As Ever account. 2 Variety sources. 2, not one, said Sarandos, would not get on a call with Meghan unless a lawyer was present. Netflix called that claim absolutely inaccurate. But when asked whether the working relationship had been positive, Netflix declined to comment. The internal mood, according to staff quoted by Variety, was captured in 2 words. We're done.
I watched the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary. Now, I'll be honest with you, before I watched it, I was not a fan of theirs. But now I've actually heard their side of the story, I fucking hate them.
Now here's the part nobody talks about. The Netflix failure didn't happen in isolation. It's the 3rd collapse in an identical cycle. Spotify, Netflix, Archewell. Same pattern, launch with royal name, promise premium content, under-deliver, blame the system, move on, 3 deals, 3 outcomes. Same playbook.
I'm opening this cylinder now. If you're watching, what a ta-da!
Last year, I had thought, you know what, American Riviera, that sounds like such a great name. It's my neighborhood, it's a nickname for Santa Barbara, but it limited me to things that were just manufactured and grown in this area. And I've been waiting for a moment to share a name that I had secured in 2022, and this is the moment. And it's called As Ever.
Before As Ever, there was American Riviera Orchard. Remember that name? Meghan launched it with golden calligraphy, handwritten notes, and a branding strategy built on one idea: artisanal Montecito luxury, small batch, handcrafted, from her California garden to your kitchen. The US Patent and Trademark Office rejected the name twice. Geographic names can't be trademarked.
This relaunch has now descended into a farce, it would seem, because officials in the Spanish town of Mallorca have accused the Duchess of Sussex of copying its traditional coat of arms for the logo of her newly revamped
Well, it's pretty close, isn't it?
luxury brand. It does look very, very close.
Harry and David, the gift company, filed a formal protest, arguing it was too close to their Royal Riviera brand. The name was dead before the first jar shipped. Meghan rebranded to As Ever in February 2025, and then came the supply chain detail that X turned into a punchline. The confirmed supplier for the jams and teas, the Republic of Tea, based in Novato, California. Not Meghan's kitchen, not a Montecito farmhouse, a commercial facility 60 miles north of San Francisco. Meghan told Fortune magazine, "The original name limited me to things manufactured and grown in this area." That's a polite way of saying the artisanal Montecito story was always fiction, but the pattern stretches further back.
I would not pay $15 for this crap. I feel like I'm gonna be sick. I actually feel like I'm eating printer paper.
The Spotify deal, reported at $25 million, produced exactly 1 podcast. Archetypes, 12 episodes, then silence. The deal ended June 15th, 2023. Spotify's head of podcast innovation, Bill Simmons, went on his own show and called the Sussexes grifters, who did 1 series and then dipped.
I mean this sincerely, Prince Harry and Meghan, we don't give a America don't give a about you. We don't.
$25 million, 1 product. Sound familiar? Count the failures. Spotify, $25 million, 1 podcast. Netflix, $60 million, 0 scripted shows, $10 million in unsold jam. Archewell, $2.1 million in, $5.1 million out. Charity Watch refuses to rate it. American Riviera, Orchard, trademark rejected twice, rebranded, supply chain exposed. 4 ventures, 4 collapses, and every single one launched with the same promise: that the Sussex name would carry it. Now remember that palace warning I mentioned at the start? Someone predicted this, specifically before the wedding. And what happened to Harry's most personal charity, the one he called his life's work, proves the warning was right all along.
Queen Elizabeth advised Prince Harry to wait a year before marrying Meghan Markle, according to a new biography.
Before the 2018 wedding, a senior palace official, part of a team led by the Queen's assistant private secretary, Samantha Cohen, sat Meghan down for a formal briefing. 14 staff members were assigned to help her transition into royal life.
But I actually think she was love-bombing him, completely love-bombing him, playing along with all their plans at the time, saying, of course I want to live in South Africa, because he really wants to live in South Africa at the time. She was playing along with that.
Lady Susan Hussey, the Queen's lady-in-waiting and William's godmother, visited Meghan personally at Nottingham Cottage to offer guidance. Meghan ignored all of it. That same official reportedly told Queen Elizabeth directly that Meghan would cause amazing trouble and was unlikely to last in the royal family. The warning was specific. It was documented and it was buried.
This woman is looking for a husband. The problem is that Meghan Markle is ugly. Meghan Markle is ugly, old, looks old. Never mind the age. She looks old. She's smelly. She's unpleasant. No smart billionaire is gonna marry this woman or have anything to do with her without having a prenup.
Now here's where this connects to something most channels haven't touched. Harry's African charity, Sentabali, the organization he founded in 2006 to help orphans with HIV in Lesotho, the one he called his life's work. Bauer's book reveals it imploded completely. The new chair, Sophie Chandaka, commissioned a brand analysis across 50 organizations and donors. The finding was devastating. Harry's personal brand value had crashed. And Meghan, this is a direct claim from the book, actually damaged Harry's remaining brand value. Audi pulled their sponsorship. A major Japanese philanthropist canceled funding, removing roughly 23% of Sentabali's income overnight. Chandaka told Harry to his face, "People don't want to be associated with your Netflix shows, and especially not with Meghan." Harry's response? He compared himself to Johnny Depp, arguing Depp was still a box office star, despite his battles with Amber Heard.
That's only gonna work, Harry, once you kick Meghan to the curb and blow the whistle on her terrible behavior.
Chandaka shut that down. We need American corporates who want to be associated with your mission, not you personally. They don't want your victimhood. Harry tried to fire her, failed. By March 2025, he, Prince Seiso, and all the trustees resigned. The man walked away from his own charity because someone told him the truth. And when Tom Bauer published all of this, when the serialization hit the Times on March 15th, the Sussex team's response made everything worse. They called the book a deranged conspiracy. They attacked Bauer's character. They didn't deny a single specific claim. And by Monday morning, the book sat at #1 on Amazon. On pre-orders alone, the exact Streisand effect they'd triggered before, with Spare, with the Oprah interview pushback, played out again. Same pattern, same result. Same people making the same mistake. Bauer estimates the Sussexes require roughly $3 million. The Montecito mansion alone, purchased for $14.65 million in 2020, now valued at $29 million, carries property taxes exceeding $155,000 annually. Private security runs between $2 and $3 million a year. Staff, maintenance, travel. The burn rate is real. And the income streams that funded it? Netflix, diminished. Spotify, gone. Archewell, bleeding. ARO, rebranding from a trademark failure. Speaking engagements and BetterUp remain, but those aren't empire-sustaining revenue. They're stopgaps. And looming over all of it, the title question. In October 2025, King Charles removed Prince Andrew from the role of the peerage via a royal warrant. No act of parliament required. That decision created a constitutional precedent that didn't exist before. The mechanism is now proven. Reports indicate William plans to issue letters patent early in his reign stripping HRH and royal titles from all non-working royals. Andrew Lowney, the royal historian, called Andrew's treatment a warning shot across Harry's bow. Bauer puts it bluntly, Harry fears William will show no mercy. And without the titles, without the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, the brand has nothing left to sell. Look, none of us were in those rooms. We're all working with the same public information, but the public information tells a consistent story. Someone inside the palace warned them. They ignored the warning. Every venture since has followed an identical arc. Launch with the royal name, promise something extraordinary, underdeliver, blame the institution, move on to the next deal. 4 times, the same cycle, the same outcome, the same people expressing shock that it happened again. Bauer says the marriage isn't over, but the financial pressure is crushing. The question isn't whether they'll survive this. The question is, what happens when every revenue stream is either gone or shrinking, the titles are under threat, and the one asset they built their entire post-royal identity on, the Sussex brand, is now worth less than a warehouse full of unsold jam. But the financial disaster is only half the story, because what Bauer found inside the Invictus Games, the event Harry built to honor wounded veterans, is worse. 43 paying spectators, 100 people corralled for photos, and 1 person at the center of every frame. That video drops next. If this is the kind of content that keeps you informed, consider subscribing, because this story isn't over, not even close. This is Star Spotlight, where the real royal stories get told.